Okay, so what you have in front of you here is called a Mach 1 tank, World War I tank designed by the British. The tank was actually called a tank because the British wanted to throw the Germans off. They thought that if you called it a tank, the Germans would think there was water inside and therefore it would not become a target. Tanks actually were more of a hindrance than they were an asset to the military at this time. Basically because this is a 28-ton piece of machine. The reason it was invented and the benefit of it was people thought you would drive the tank across no man's land, invade the other army's trench, and be done with it. The problem was, the environment we're in, 20 tons stuck in mud, the guys inside became sitting ducks. Also, if you look at the design, the two guns are on the side. So when it came to shooting anybody down, if you were driving straight ahead, your weapons would not be pointed. Now, you can somewhat direct them forward, as you can see with this swing, but not behind you if anybody was coming at you. Also, if I take the exterior off, here is our cabin crew. This is before really electricity inside of these machines, so it's dark, it's extremely noisy, and more than often, all the fumes from the gas tank are fumigating back inside of here. You would have gunners on either side, but it also took about 4 people to drive this thing. This one is showing 3, but you also have sort of a director captain here. And these things would get stuck in the mud. A really fun job that some guys would get is to help give traction in the mud. They would take railroad planks and place it underneath the tank. Problem was, you have to be portable. So if you got your tank across the railroad, you would have to pick it up from here, place it in front, and continue driving. So if you got that fun job, it meant you kept running, carrying the railroad tracks from front to back. One of the main benefits of the tank was more that it was a barrier. You can run pretty much faster than this tank. They only went, 4 to 6 miles per hour. Very, very slow machinery. So if you were going to go over the top, attack in no man's land, line up all your forces behind the tank. Let this be a barrier for firing, and just run your men in behind this. The clip I have for you now is from the History Channel. It's a show called Dogfights. And it's about a piece of equipment that we used called the SPAD 13.
The SPAD 13 was known for being one of the most capable Allied fighters of World War I. Entering the French Air Service in 1917, the SPAD 13 was quickly adopted by other Allied forces. The SPAD had a larger rudder and wings than early models and had a service ceiling of over 21,000 feet. With the addition of a 220 horsepower Hispano-Suiza engine, the SPAD had a top speed of just over 130 miles per hour. Armed with 2 air-cooled Vickers machine guns that were fitted with a hydraulic synchronization gear to allow them to fire through the aircraft propellers, the SPAD was a strong and tough fighter.
The SPAD 13 for the Allies, the reason it was developed, flight in planes was relatively new at this time. But the benefit of having an airplane was that, with trench warfare, now you can attack not just from no man's land, but from above. Fly in, swoop down, and wipe out your opponent's trench, allowing for your troops to move forward. But as you can see, it's kind of like flying popsicle sticks. There's really no protection. There is no covering over the pilot. Plus, the hydraulic synchronization that they're talking about, what had happened is where this gun is mounted, the propeller is flying around. So how do you shoot a bullet and not hit the propeller? Well, they actually came up with a piece of technology that as you squeeze the trigger of the rifle that is mounted to your plane, it sort of puts the propeller on a delay. So it delays it just enough for that bullet to swing by and hit your enemy.